Okay folks, so this is composite functions. So a composite function is created when one function is substituted into another function. So to find f of g of x, you put x into the function g first and then put the answer into the function f. So, and the same for g of x into f. So this is basically all about putting one function into another. So look at the first one here, you're asked for f of g of x. So it's always the one closest to the bracket. So g is closest here. So I'm going to put g into f. So I'm going to put the function g into f. So that means I'm going to take what g of x is, which is the x squared minus 1, and I'm going to put it in instead of the x in f. So I'm going to put that function in instead of the x in the other function. And then likewise, if I was asked to find g of f of x, and I am at the end here, I'm going to take the function f, because f is closest to the bracket here, and I'm going to put all of that in instead of the x in here. So it'll go in instead of that x. So that's basically what it means. Composite functions is all about putting one function into another. Let's look at the example here. First one asks us for f of g of 2. So I'm going to find f of g of x first. So f of g of x would be, so let's put that function, like I was saying, x squared minus 1 in instead of the x in there, and all I'm going to get is, it'll just be x squared minus 1, you can put brackets around it if you want, and then plus 3. The brackets don't really make a difference here, I'm just putting it in to show that I'm putting it in instead of that x. So inside that brackets is the same as the x basically. So that's just going to be x squared minus 1 plus 3, which is x squared plus 2. And now it's asking us for f of g of 2 in the first question. So f of g of 2 will be, you're just putting a 2 in now instead of the x, so it's just going to be 2 squared plus 2. 2 squared is 4, plus 2 is 6. So final answer 6 for that one. Right. Right, second part then, it asks us for g of f of minus 1. So let's get g of f of x first. So g of f of x, that means you're going to put the x plus 3 in instead of the x in the other one. So that's going to go in instead of the x in there. So the x plus 3 is all going to be squared. You have to put all of the x plus 3 in. So the only way to do that is to put brackets around it and square it all. Okay, so all of that has to be squared, and then it's minus 1. So you're putting x plus 3 in instead of the x in the x squared, and then taking away 1. So you could square that out if you want, but you don't really need to. So they're asking us for g of f of minus 1 here. So I'm just going to put a minus 1 instead of the x, plus 3 squared, and then minus 1. So minus 1 plus 3 is 2, squared is 4, and then take away 1 is 3. So final answer is 3. The third part is actually, you've actually already found it. F of g of x, yeah, it's just going to be this here, so x squared plus 2. You've already found f of g of x, you're just putting the function g into f, so that's just x squared minus 2. So I won't bother showing the workings again, they're exactly the same as I've done here. The other one then, you've done that as well, so g of f of x, so g of f of x is just going to be this, it's x squared, or sorry, x plus 3 squared minus 1. So they're asking that at the end there, because there's other ways of doing it where you can get f of 2, f of g of 2, or g of f of minus 1 a different way, but I just find this easier. So here's a few, you can attempt them now, just have a go at them yourself, pause the video and then play it on, and I'll go through the answers for you. Right, so first one here, so f of g of 1, so let's get f of g of x anyway. So that's going to be where I'm putting g into f, so I'm putting the 3x plus 2 in instead of the x in there. So that's just going to give me 2 times 3x plus 2, so you have to put it all in and all in brackets. Always put it in brackets is a good tip, even if you don't need to, and you won't go wrong then. So 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times 2 is 4, and minus 1, so 6x plus 3. And then I have to get, obviously I have to get f of g of 1. So that's just putting a 1 in instead. So 6 times 1 plus 3. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. And we're done. G of f of minus 3 then. So now we're going the opposite way. So I'm going to take the 2x minus 1 and I'm going to put it all in instead of the x in there. So that's just going to give me 3 times 2x minus 1 and then plus 2. So that's going to be 6x minus 3 plus 2, 6x minus 1. And then I have to get g of f of minus 3. So that's going to be 6 times minus 3 and take away 1. So that's minus 18 minus 1, which is minus 19. Right, and then the last two parts, you've already done them again. So g of f of x is just going to be this here. 6x minus 1, that's how you found it. Find it, I did it already. And f of g of x is 6x plus 3. So that's it. That's composite functions.